is up there, members of the Communist Manifesto? It's been a while. Been a long while. But I figured I would make a video. And I'm gonna fucking have to rearrange shit a little bit. Why would I ever fucking make that fucking base mount fucking stiff? I had to get myself a new magnet mount. They eventually stopped sticking to my dash, which isn't really a whole lot of fun. We're gonna have a drag race. This Panther Freight Systems comes on the ramp or on the highway. I move over for him, but then he just fucking honks on it and leaves me in the left lane like a fucking asshole. Which is especially shitty because there's a fucking right lane. But as you notice, he's not faster than me. He's just using fucking gravity. Fuck you. Literally, I just fucking blew his doors off as soon as we started climbing the fucking hill. But it's real frustrating because I'm in the fucking hammer lane where I'm not supposed to fucking be. Because he wanted to fucking go on the ramp. Like a lot of people, he wants to be in the center lane. Okay, this might be a fucking run. There, try that a little bit. Trying to find it. The magnet, even though I got the sneaking suspicion that this magnet mount is, it's just a rebrand of the one I used before. The magnet mounts I had previously were by a brand called Mag Buddy, and excuse me, they worked pretty well. Other than like I said, they'd eventually stopped sticking to the dash. This one is a brand called Magmate. The packaging is almost identical, same color, same everything. The magnets and the magnet mount are slightly different. The Mag Buddy had a large, like a rectangular magnet, but the edges are rounded. It's kind of shaped like my cell phone type of thing. The Magmate, they're like a hexagon, I think. So they're a little bit smaller, which that doesn't matter, but I think they're slightly less. They don't grip as well, so they're slightly less magnetized. But anywho, I am I-40 rolling into, kind of through Memphis, Tennessee. I had a nice long run down to Longview, Texas. Deliver there, and now I'm headed over to just east of Memphis to go get a load. And then I got to figure out how I'm going to get home. As in my last video, I sat in my pickup truck and kind of talked about what was going on and where things were. I was feeling pretty bleak at the time, though hopefully the video didn't really, wasn't particularly depressing or anything, but money got tight for a while. Things weren't going too good for old fucking Dan here. I started the new job, and the new job's good, right? The money, again, I've been already told this, and it's mostly true. The best month here is not as good as the best month where I was. However, every month here is kind of an average. You kind of expect around the same amount of money every month, right? So you're not going to get rich, but you're also not going to go bankrupt, right? Where I was, you could have a month where you took home $20,000, and you could have the next month where you took home $500. There's absolutely no consistency. I made the mistake because I had so many consecutive months of good income. Like a lot of people who suddenly have access to money, especially if they grew up poor. I was not spending money left and right. I guess I was booking time off. And then, I think technically, I guess it was still spending money, right? I was I didn't buy a whole bunch of, things, but it's I went to a bunch of airsoft games in the States, And those airsoft games, right? I'm, a couple of them I bought guns for, which, $300-400. And then, traveling to the States with my personal vehicle, a couple $100 in fuel. Then the event ticket was usually well over $100. So it's like, in my head, I'm like, I didn't spend that much money. But in reality, I did quite a bit of spending, right? So, and that's totally fine, right? And I grew up poor for the most part, so having a chance to actually enjoy myself and do the things I want to do was nice. One of the big issues I had is that I always forget that this semi-truck that I drive, even though for all intents and purposes it is mine, I own, the truck payment comes out of my bank account. I'm not lease purchasing or anything like that. The name the truck is listed in is my father's. When I first bought this truck, as a bit of a recap for people who I don't think I really talked about this. I talked about it when I used to do live streams and shit. What the fuck is this guy doing? What the fuck is that? Is that like a lifted Camaro? What the fuck am I looking at? A fucking car in front of me. Where was I here? When I started driving truck, my dad was pretty keen on pushing me to become an owner-operator. I think he had the mindset, he's been driving truck for 30 plus years, so I can kind of get an easy pass, to bypass all of the learning how to drive it, not learning how to drive a truck, but learning how to operate a truck or operate a business, because my dad was there to help me, right? My dad was thinking that with the best of intentions, right? He's like, Daniel can have it so much better and easier than I ever did, because he's not going to have to go through all the problems of, doing it on his own. My father was a first generation trucker. The rest of his family's got no interest in trucks. So this guy likes to be in front of me and drive slower than me. I guess his speed limit is 55. He had some pretty big ideas for how I was gonna, be successful. And at the time, I was like, let me go way out the door. Again, I grew up living paycheck to paycheck from looking at both my parents and myself. So I become very accustomed to not really being concerned with money. I like buying things, don't get me wrong, but I don't sit there oh man, I need money for bills, because it was I'll just fucking go without, right? So I've become very accustomed to that. Which is that's not a healthy mindset. I'll be totally fucking honest. That is an absolutely terrible mindset to have. So most of this year, like I said, I spent a fair bit of money, and I had a little over $10,000 in the bank, which I thought, in my small business, never had money mindset, that was a good chunk of money to have set aside for a rainy day, right? Immediately upon, I finally, I moved in and out of my parents' place over the years. I used to live with my brother. When I can't believe I lived at my parents' place for over 2 years. When I lease purchased, when I first got my own truck, I did a lease purchase at Scott Lynn. My dad suggested that I move back in with him. He said, you're gonna be making truck payments and stuff now. It's gonna get expensive. That guy fucking lifted a Camaro and then bondoed it. Things are gonna get tight for you for a while. Come live with me. You won't have to pay rent or any of that shit. So it's okay. So I moved back in with my parents, and that was where I lived pretty much for the last 2 or 3 years. I finally how do I put this? I don't want to fucking sound like I'm shitting on my dad. My dad's kind of bad at explaining things a lot of the time, so he'll kind of surprise you with well, I thought you were going to do this. And it's like, well, right now is the first time I'm hearing that I should have or would have done this. And what had happened is he thought I was going to move out. He got this idea in his head somewhere that I was going to start looking for a place to live. And again, that's totally fine. I hadn't started doing it yet, right? So I was talking about going to an airsoft game, and he lost his shit. I can't believe you're going airsoft when, I thought you were going to look for a place to live. And like I was sitting there like, wait, when did I ever tell you I was going to look for a place to live? Like, if you want me to move out, that's fine. Like, I'm no hard feelings. I get it, right? I'm 30 years old living with my parents. If you want me to go move out, that's not a problem, right? I would like it if you say, hey, Daniel, I think I think it's time for you to start looking for a place of your own, right? Like, my dad makes his issues are communication, right? Like, a lot of as I've grown up, I realized a lot of the stuff that my father does. Oh, fuck, can I not? I can't fucking make the camera brighter while I'm filming. Okay, that's cool. My phone is just gonna. I mean, the video will show up normal, but I have the brightness on my screen dim because it's getting brighter. I wanted to raise the brightness up, but apparently I can't while I'm filming. Oh, yeah, I can. Hell yeah. I just have to learn how to do it. There you go. So he, like I said, he kind of just dropped it on me. Well, you should be looking for a place to live. And it's like, my dad is he's done it over the years, right? And with lots of different things. He makes the mistake of not communicating. And then, like he's I guess he's the kind of like an employee who everybody asks him, like, is everything okay? You're happy? You're making money? Everything's good? Yep. Oh, I'm all good. Everything's good. And then all of a sudden, you guys never fucking give me home time, or you never do this. And all of a sudden, it's a big problem. And it's like, then the work is sitting there like, this is the first we're hearing of it. You never told us there was a problem. Like, why didn't you communicate? Right? Like, my dad, if he's not going to be able to pay for a bill, like, let's say he can't make his car payment or something, like back in the day when he couldn't afford to do that kind of shit, he just wouldn't make it and wouldn't say anything about it. So then they'd be like, well, you fucking dodged a car payment, so we're going to charge you, there's an NSF charge and a late fee, and we're going to keep trying to take the money out of your account, and you're going to keep getting hit with NSF fees, and he would just leave it. So my dad constantly just threw money away at fucking NSF fees. I learned pretty quickly, if I can't make a car payment, I call the fucking finance company and say, hey, this is what's going on. And they're like, okay, no problem. Here, we'll move this payment so you can make a payment. Like, if you communicate with people, typically, like, I shouldn't say you can do anything you want or get away with anything, but you can almost always make things work. Right? If you just leave things or don't communicate at all, that's when people get upset or stressed, or you surprise people with like unpleasant surprises, right? So that's my father kind of dropped on me, like, well, you should, like, I thought you'd be moved out by now. I think those were the words he used. It's like, we've never, as far as I know, like, the reason I moved in is the reason why I'm still living here. Like, but it's like, okay, that's no big deal. So I I saved up a bunch of money, rented a place. Rent in Canada gets pricey. So bear in mind, like, when I'm saying these numbers, they're absolutely not indicative of, like, say, American housing rates for people who may be contemplating buying or renting a home, watching these videos in the States. Our dollar value is different. Our things are more expensive in general. So I moved to a nice town. I've grown up not in that town, but I've got friends there. So it's a larger town on a lake. Where was I here? Rent is cheaper for the location. Absolutely, like, probably the cheapest she could find for the location, but it's over $1,400 a month for rent. One of the things is it's a like a semi, or I guess it's a townhome, but it's a 2-bedroom townhome. So I could have, like, I got a buddy of mine, I guess for scale, I got a buddy of mine that lives in California, and he doesn't live anywhere near LA or anywhere fucking busy or expensive, but he pays $500 a month for a room, right? So $1,400 a month and that's not even factored in the exchange rate. $1,400 a month for a 2-bedroom house, or whatever you want to call it, condo, semi, townhome, is really not bad. I like my privacy. I like my own space. I've grown up my entire life living in a bedroom, right? Even when I moved in with my brother, I moved in with him and his wife. So, him and his wife, like, I was absolutely more than welcome to roam the house, but it was always kind of, like, if I go hang out in the living room, like, I'm hanging out in their space, where the bedroom I had was my space, right? It was a tiny bedroom, but they had used the larger bedroom as storage. Like, there was so much shit in their larger bedroom, it wouldn't fit in the smaller bedroom. So I lived. I've always grown up. The bedroom has been the only space I've had. So I wanted to have a full house to myself, right? I wanted to stop, having a single room be my entire, like, world, I guess, right? I mean, I already have that in a truck, right? Like, the little box that I live in here, that's my whole world, effectively. So I moved into this apartment, and again, it's our townhome. That's what it is. Again, I'm a block away from like a beach. It's gonna be great in the summer if COVID lifts and we can actually go out and do stuff. There's all kinds of hiking trails. It actually is a really good location. It's a nice home. It's a newer home. It needs central air, which is really going to suck in the summertime. But the upstairs is a loft, so it's got big high ceilings in the living room with a skylight. Like, it's actually a really nice home. Where was I went. So November, I moved in. I got the place. So I got $10,000 came first and last. So that was $2,900. I went to an airsoft game, which was fine. I knew the month of November wasn't going to be a very profitable month, because I booked 4 days off for the airsoft game. What I didn't factor in is that I would sit at home I think I was at home for 12 days. They just didn't bother to find me work. And from November onwards, I made very, very little money. For the month of November, I made $500. In January, for the month of December, I made $3,000. I think February for the month of January was another $400 or $500. March for the month of February was about $3,500. But these are, like, the entire year previous, that pay would always be $7,000 to $12,000, right? So I'm getting way less than I was. And then the final nail in the coffin, and I don't know if I talked about this in my other videos, so if I'm repeating shit, I apologize. For the month of April, I'd already kind of decided that I was going to leave. My buddy had been bugging me to come work for him and his dad's company for a while. My dad works there. He's been bugging me to come there for a while. So I was like, okay, you know what, screw it, let's do it. It seems like there's less stupidity and frustration. There's, right now anyways, more consistent money. And I should add that, where I was working, things slowed down before COVID took hold. So it wasn't COVID that caused that company to stop having work or anything like that. It was their own stupidity for not pursuing contracts, right? And they're just like, okay, well, we got this guy and this guy. We'll just wait around until those two give us work, because then we don't have to like try to make sales calls and shit, right? Because when I started the company, they had a guy who was specifically dedicated to managing the drivers. He was not a driver manager; he was operations manager. So he was also in charge of getting us work. So he was getting, trying to find us a lot more stuff to the East Coast or West Coast, because a lot of our stuff was primarily East Coast, which anybody watching this who like lives or works on the East Coast, I mean, it doesn't suck in the way that most people say it sucks, because it's there's nothing like it's beautiful to go through as a tourist, but it's terrible to go through as a truck driver. It's what most people say about California too. Like, California is beautiful, it's really cool to be there, but it's also a fucking pain in the ass for truck drivers, because they're real fucking horny on charging truck drivers with shit, right? They go after truckers all the time in California. CHP is fucking real gung-ho. To date, my only like full, I always mix up the numbers. I can never remember if level 1 is the most thorough inspection, or level 3. But I went through, it's the only place I've ever gone through like the most thorough inspection was California. Beyond that, like, really, I've never had an issue in California, but then I don't try to run exceptionally fast or anything like that. What was I getting in here? The bigger issue is, how the fuck do I know this here? When he left the company and said stop pursuing new job options or new contracts. So they rested on their laurels, which weren't very good. So I decided, like, I was initially going to switch companies at the beginning of March, but the new company's insurance refused to take me. They were like the company I work for is a small company. I think there's 7 or 8 trucks, and they're almost all owner operators. There's 1 or 2 guys. There's 1 company truck, I think, and 1 or 2 guys are leasing trucks off the owner. But everybody else is an owner operator. Some with their own trailers as well. My dad has his own trailer, and 1 or 2 other guys do. And some, like me, they're using one of the boss's trailers. The insurance, I think, is they want big fleets. They don't want little carriers. Because even though the company I work for now, which I gotta be careful, they're not really huge on social media stuff, so I gotta try not to reveal too much in terms of like who they are and where they go and shit. Like the company that I work for, they're a primary carrier for the steel mills that we use. So we get like pretty much guaranteed freight because they really like us. When I showed up my first time at both of the different mills that we load out of in Canada, they both said like the owner's a great guy. That's a good company to work for. They always got good equipment. Everything looks good, right? Like, they got nothing but compliments about the company or for the company. So they're everything's pretty good there. But the insurance for some reason doesn't like small carriers, or doesn't like the owner. I don't know. When I first became friends with his son years ago, and his son even then bugged me to come work for him. Like, his son and I both worked at Scotland at the same time, because he just wanted to do his own thing. And Scotland kind of, again, like a lot of lease to own or lease purchase companies, and fizzled out, and you realize that you're either going to go bankrupt to try to keep the truck, or you're going to have to get rid of the truck. So he did the same thing as me, which was a smart thing, and said, all right, here's the keys. Sorry, I haven't talked this much in a while. I'm going to keep taking drinks. I think at that time he went back to work for his dad, so he bugged me to come over there. And his dad and I hit it off really well too, right? So his dad was going to fucking buy him like a 379 and put me in it. And I could lease it off of him and eventually own it. We had some pretty good ideas going, and then his insurance was like, yeah, no. He needs at least, I think at first it was they wanted 2 years experience. So he said, like, sorry, Dan, because at the time I only had, as I was leaving Scotland, I guess I had about a year. So he's like, okay, well, I'll just keep working. So I just kept working away. Got 2 years, he applied for it. They're like, no, he needs 3 years. And he's like, what the fuck? Like, you told me last year he only needed 2. Well, policy change. Okay. So I worked until I got 3 years. Well, then they said they wanted 3 years, but one of those years had to be flatbed. So we're like, well, I haven't technically done 1 full year of flatbed, but I have worked at a flatbed carrier for a full year. Right, part of it was hauling on their specialized glass division. Part of it was on their machinery/flatbed division. They're both on flatbed trailers, but the glass, there's special A-frames mounted to the trailers, so I'm not really doing flatbed stuff. This guy doesn't want to fucking go that fast. Where was I? So this was when they just hired another guy, and that's what they told him. So he needs 3 years plus. 3 years and a year of experience on flatbed. So he fought because the guy had, I think, almost no experience on flatbed. They finally let the guy come and work for him. And then 3 weeks later, in March, he tried to apply on my behalf, and they're like, no. He needs 3 years of flatbed experience. That's what he needs. And the owner finally lost his shit. He's like, okay, I'm fucking done with you guys. I gotta go find another insurance company. I've been with you guys for 20 fucking years. And for those 20 fucking years, there's never been a claim. There's never been a fucking lost load. There's never been anything, right? But you've never let me hire drivers. And, you change the rules every week as to what your requirement is for getting an employee hired. I'm going to go to another company, and they find this, okay, well, you can hire them. So, at the beginning of April, I was able to come work for them. But it was I in a weird way, I understand the insurance side of it. Big fleets make them more money, right? Because it's like a negative exponential curve. If that is even a thing. If you have 10 times the drivers, you don't necessarily have 10 times the accidents, right? Simple numbers, people will put it that way, but if a truck with 10, or if a company with 10 trucks, let's say of those 10 trucks, you get one accident per year. A company with 30 trucks might not get 3 accidents per year. They might only get 1 or 2. But they're paying insurance for 30 trucks versus insurance for 10 trucks. So even though the insurance charges my boss a bit more than a fleet, but a fleet has, I'm using smaller numbers than 30, but when a fleet comes in with 400 or 500 trucks, even if 100 of those trucks have accidents and the insurance has to pay out, they make far more money off of the other 400 trucks in the fleet than they would ever make off of, 8 or 10 little trucks at where I work. So they typically, they'll give a lot of concessions to big fleets, but not to small carriers. But I got hired. As I was in the transition process, I had tried to figure out the best way to retain the most money. It's kind of depressing, but I had to come up with a scheme to get out of where I was at Royal Tank Lines. My dad, he got his money after a while. My buddy, when he left to go back and work for his dad, where I work now, they didn't pay him. He had to threaten to sue before he got paid. I picked the wrong time to leave, even though it was the earliest I could leave and then still go work at the new carrier. Right? If I'd left a month earlier, I would have had to go somewhere else, right? Because this place's insurance wasn't going to take me then. It took them a month to finally agree to take me. So they, there wasn't a whole lot, I guess, that I could do differently. I had made very little money for the month of March, and I think most of the drivers made very little money for the month of March. And Royal's pay structure at the time was you would get $5,000 on the first of each month, right? So that would cover, running expenses, all of that shit. And then, on the 15th of the following month, you would get paid for the month prior, right? So let's say I worked in March. I got $5,000 on the 1st of March. On the 15th of April, I would get paid for the month of March. And I would get paid the month of March minus that $5,000. So again, that's why usually, like, when things were good there, I get $5,000 on the 1st and, between 7 and 12 on the 15th, right? So whether I made, around 12 or 13 grand for the month, take home more closer to 20. Because almost everybody at Royal, because I talked to a few, even the company drivers were complaining, like they were asking me, like, are you getting any work? We're getting nothing. Almost everybody universally at the company made less than $5,000 for the month of March. So Royal kind of had two options. They could either take the financial hit and, retain drivers and keep drivers happy. Because, again, like, whatever each driver made, let's say everybody made $4,000 or something like that. Your $4,000 minus the amount of, I guess I should slow down a touch, the fucking cops. $4,000 minus your fuel and everything, you probably made, technically, Royal probably gave you that $5,000 for free. They basically did for me. So $5,000 times a lot of trucks. It is a lot of money. I don't think company guys get paid every week, so they don't deal with that $5,000 shit. But either way, it's they're what was I gonna say? They're still paying out, like they'd be taking a hit financially. But to the best of our knowledge, Royal can more than afford to do it. Like, Royal's never been in the red; they've always been in the black. Or they could do option 2 and not pay any money, and they chose option 2. So they announced on the 1st of April we were supposed to get our $5,000. They announced on the 26th of March that effective immediately they were switching to a weekly pay structure. They said it was because of COVID, but it was because they knew that nobody made enough money to cover the $5,000 on the month prior. So they said on the 27th of March, the very next day, or on the 1st of April, sorry, fuck me. There's fucking cops everywhere. Like, the speed limit's 70. Speed limit's 70 mile an hour right now. Right? So the cars in front of me, every single center median, there's fucking cops. So the cars in front of me are slowing the fuck down. I'm trying to fucking pass this guy. Where was it? So, I gotta make sure I'm not repeating myself or fucking skipping steps here. They decided on the 1st of April they were going to get paid for everything for March up to the 27th of March, and then from the 27th to the following, like the next whatever it was, they were going to pay the following week. Like 27th of March was a Monday, I guess, so they were going to pay. Then it was going to switch to weekly, so they were going to pay your entire month of March and then start paying you weekly from then on. What they left out that I then asked is, so does that mean they're not paying the advances? And the response was, no, we're no longer paying you guys advances. So it's like, 3 days before we're supposed to get this advance, and most of the drivers do need, because things are tight and have been tight for a while, you're denying it. Yes. So my pay was negative $3,000. It's like, okay, I'm done right now. I don't care if I have a new job or not. Fuck you guys. I sent out an email, effective immediately. I'm done. I'm not working there anymore. Because it was a really. They said it's due to COVID. They want drivers to have more liquidity, more access to funds. It's like, no, you wanted to fucking dodge out on. It's not even dodging out on paying. Like I said, they didn't. And on a purely, whatever you want to call it, Jesus, why are there so many cops fucking east of Memphis? Every fucking center fucking turnaround, there's fucking cops. It was not a case of, like I said, technically, it is. I mean, on a purely, whatever you want to call it, cold, rational mindset, it makes sense, right? None of your employees made enough money to pay you back. Why would you give them more money? It's like giving somebody a loan when they haven't paid you back for the previous loan. But as a company that is attempting to retain drivers and is actively hiring new drivers, and you want people to come work for you, you know, you end up having to make a concession or two to keep your employees content, because I wasn't the only guy that quit. I know a few guys quit, right? Plenty more stuck around because they're A, probably better at putting money aside than I was. B, they want to keep holding on. Or like I said, it could be that some guys were working okay, and, you know, Royal just stopped caring about me, so I got, you know, given what was left. But you know, it was really, really, it was one of those things where, like, you can almost start to fathom why, like the concept of going postal exists, because it was like, you want everybody in that office that basically did you wrong and smiled at you and said, "Yep, we're fucking you. How you like it?" You want some sort of retribution for that, right? Like, I sat there like, fuck, like, what can I do to really fucking ruin them? And there is nothing you can do, like nothing legally. I mean, yeah, like I could walk in there with a fucking rifle and attempt to kill them all, but like that ends my life. Like, you know what I mean? Whether I die or go to jail, it doesn't really matter. You know, I'm not helping myself either, right? But I understand why some people don't, like, they're too angry to look at it that way and they can fucking snap. But it is, you know, like I for a while I was like, you know, I really want to fucking see Royal pay for this kind of bullshit, but there isn't anything you can do. You know, like, Royal is withholding legal documentation for my truck until I give them $3,000. And the cooler that's on the side of the truck, I've effectively told them, you're never getting that money, and you'll get the cooler when I have time to take it off. The only reason I want to get the cooler, it's not a cooler, it's a blower, it's a fan, it's an assembly for my PTO pumps on the trailer. When I started working at Royal, we were never given a contract of any kind. Not even, I don't even think we had an employment contract. There was no contract that stated we would return the items. There was nothing. So legally, they can't, like, they can try to pursue me for it. And, like, maybe the judge will say, well, I mean, they did pay for it. You should probably give it back to them. But they can't pursue me for breaking a contract because there was no contract signed. Not even a verbal one. It was never even brought up. Nobody said anything about me fucking giving the PTO back. I want to get rid of it because it's weight, right? It's 500 or 600 pounds of weight that I don't need on the truck. But in terms of, you know, doing it for Royal, they can fucking sit there and sweat. Like, the shop guy, and the shop guy's a good guy, and I feel bad for him, right? He's been bugging me every couple of days. Like, did you get it off yet? Did you get it taken off yet? Like, we'll do it, because that was the other thing. Once Royal claimed that I owed them money, I was like, okay, like, now we're entering into, like, sketchy territory, because of, like, I initially said, okay, I went to the shop and was like, okay, take everything off the truck. And the guy running the shop said, okay, well, where are you gonna go? You can't stay here. It's like, well, I'm not leaving the truck. Right? Again, while he is a good guy and the shop are good guys, I do not want to see, you know, one of the people in the office come out and tell him, okay, take the drive shaft out of that truck. Daniel's not getting it back until he pays us our money. Because then he's going to be standing there telling me I can't have the keys to my truck, and I'm going to beat the keys out of him. Like, legal shit or not, if somebody tells me that, you know, no, you can't have your truck back, I will beat them all up until they fucking give me my keys. You know, that's, you can argue, like, that's, my dad would lose his shit if I fucking said that to him, because, well, you can't do that, you just gotta, you know, I was about to say, you just gotta take it in the ass, but, you know, my dad's not that bad of a fucking person. But I would, at the very least, attempt to beat the keys out of him. You know, nobody takes my property and then demands money, because at that point they might as well keep the fucking truck, because I would go bankrupt, right? If I can't generate any revenue until I pay money that I don't physically have, then I can't generate revenue, right? So I said, no, this isn't happening. So he said, all right, well, you'll have to leave then. I said, okay, jump the truck and fucked off. So he's like, well, I can make an appointment at the actual company that installs the equipment. I was like, no, I'll make the appointment. And I just went to work. It's like, if they're open on a day that I'm in the area, then I'll swing in. But I can't really make an appointment because I don't know when I'm going to be there. So like, I called them Monday and asked about, like, we can't get you in today. So it's like, okay, well, I guess I'm not doing it today, right? I haven't been back in the area since, right? I'll probably be back in the area this coming Monday. But like, I could call them today and ask, but I might not get around to being there. Like, I don't know what time I would be there Monday. So he's offered, the shop guy's offered again to take it off for me. He's like, you just can't stay here because of COVID. Like, I'm not leaving the truck. I do not trust that company to not attempt to screw me over. Because like I said, I emailed, like, what happened is I have a book with all of like my certificates, you know, all of my permits, everything that I'm required to have in the truck to prove that I'm legally allowed to operate this truck. And one of them is my inspection certificate. Every year, I have to get an annual inspection done by a licensed accredited shop. I mean, I just go back to the dealership that I bought it from. They're actually, like, a lot of guys, oh, Peterbilt charges so much money, and like, we priced around, and literally it's the cheapest. For $470, they'll do what every other shop is charging $700 to $1,000 for. So Peterbilt's actually the cheapest, at least what I found so far. But again, these are Canadian dollars. American, it's probably different. So the certificate for that inspection is in my book. Like, I pulled out other stuff, but I forgot to grab that certificate. And at the time, like, I thought that was company specific. Like, I'm not too sure on how a lot of that stuff works. Again, it hasn't ever really been explained to me, you know, what some of this paperwork is. So when my old man said, make sure you grab this, this, and this, I grabbed that, that, and that. But he never said anything about the certificate. So I guess being an active enough thinker, didn't say, well, what about this? Right? I just kind of left it. So technically, I shouldn't be driving the truck right now. The truck is certified. I have the receipt for the inspection. So I emailed Royal, and I emailed two different people and asked, okay, I left it in there. Do you mind returning that to me? Send me an email with it or something. The first guy I sent it to, technically, I think he's basically the operations manager now. He just didn't respond. The next person was the head of accounting. And she ignored my question and asked me when I was going to give her the money. And I said, okay, this is how it's going to be. So no, bye. I sent her an email. I said, well, I can't afford to pay you guys. I'm trying to get the cooler taken off when I can. You know, you didn't answer my question about the certificate. Like, what's the deal? And she never answered me. So it's like, okay, she can't be asked to fucking send me a document. And I think, again, she's smart enough to know that if she says, we're not giving you that certificate back until you pay us the money, that I can take that to court and fucking win, because they can't withhold documentation that belongs to me over $2,000 that, again, the judge is going to look at it and say, well, he's got proven history with his fucking pay stubs, and you guys aren't giving him any work. Like, you know, he doesn't have the money available to fucking pay this. And rather than say, okay, you know, here's everything you need to make money, you know, maybe try to pay us back. And again, $3,000 is very inconsequential in big business. The accounting, who is like she's a bitch. She's a snooty fucking bitch, and I fucking hate her. Like, she's in charge. Well, like, nobody knows what anybody's in charge of there. They all claim that whatever I'm asking them for is not their department. One of the in I think it was January, I got a ticket at a scale in Kentucky because our DOT number, like there's a few states you're supposed to pay a heavy users tax. New York, I believe it's New York, Oregon, and Kentucky are the big ones that we go through. I guess they were paying their taxes, but they had not filed their taxes with the state of Kentucky. Because now that they're paying for items, they got to file for taxes. They were 6 months behind in filing their quarterly, so that's every 3 months taxes. So our DOT number, or one of the numbers on the side of the truck, the guy didn't tell me which one. He just said, your number's not valid. But the number is no longer valid. So we were no longer legally allowed to operate commerce within the state of Kentucky. So I got pulled off the road. He said, all right, well, unfortunately in Kentucky, we can't issue tickets to the employer. We issue the ticket to the driver. So I got a $170 ticket for failure to provide, failure to pay for motor heavy users tax, whatever the fuck was worded. Now Royal pays for that. They immediately said they would pay for that. The issue that I had, and I got very frustrated by, was first off, it should have never happened in the first place, right? Like, if the company's not filing their taxes, what else are they doing wrong? Like, what else I'm gonna roll into a state and discover that they didn't pay for a permit, and my truck's gonna get fucking towed or something, right? Like, I can't drive down the road not knowing if the company that I work for is doing all the shit they're supposed to be doing on the back end, because I have no way of knowing if they've paid for that tax or if they filed that tax. I don't carry around a receipt or a certificate of paid taxes. Do you know what I mean? They don't update us on that information. That's not information the driver needs to know, right? Until something like that happens. So I had spoken to, again, the head of accounting, which, again, as far as I know, that she's in charge of everything money related at the company. And I told her, like, this cannot happen again. Like, I have a spotless driving record. I have nothing on my record. And even though it is a very minor citation, I have a citation on my record. Right? She's like, well, it's not a moving violation. I said, I don't care. I have nothing on my record. Right? I said, this cannot happen again. This needs to not happen again. I cannot be taken off the road and taken out of service because you guys are not filing your taxes. She said, okay, hung up. One of the other guys called me back and asked me what was going on. I explained it to him. I told him the same thing. I said, this cannot happen again. Right? And I said it to him the same way. I explained it to him the exact same way. And he said, you're right, Dan. I'm sorry. Like, this should have never happened. We'll get it sorted out. Don't worry about the ticket. We're going to pay for it. It's not a big deal. Like, I apologize. I said, okay, thank you. Next time I'm in the office, the accounting lady pulls me into my office and says, you were really rude to me on the phone. I said, what do you mean? You were rude to me. I said, no, I wasn't. Yes, you were. How was I rude to you? Well, you were being very, very, what the word she used, fucking, very blunt or something like that. I said, like, Kim, like, I was being firm, but I think I was being fair, right? You guys need to file your taxes as a company. I cannot be pulled off the road and given citations because you guys aren't filing your taxes. She's like, well, that's not my department. I said, you're the head of accounting. You're the head of payroll. You are the head of money at the company, right? I don't know whose job it is, but I assume that it's yours, right? And I said, like, I don't think I was being rude. I think I'm pretty, like, I'm pretty, what's the word I'm looking for? I'm pretty, like, correct in my stance that you can't, like, that needs to not happen. She's like, well, you didn't talk like that to Bill. I was like, oh, fuck. She's implying that I'm sexist, right? That I'm talking down to her while being nice to Bill. I said it to Bill the exact same way. She said, no, you didn't. I said, okay, well, you're accusing me of saying, or of being sexist, and I'm telling you I wasn't. And you're saying, nope, you were. Well, okay. Like, you can't argue with that kind of logic. Like, if I walk up to you and say the sky's purple, you say, man, it's blue. I say, nope, it's purple. You're wrong, it's purple. Look at it, it's purple. What's wrong with you? like, how do you, like, you can sit there and say all day that it's fucking blue, but if I keep telling you it's purple, like, you know, the argument won't go anywhere. And it's the same thing. It's like, nope, you're being rude to me. Okay, well, I guess I was being fucking rude to you, Kim. Look, what do you want me to do? Like, you know, so again, she didn't flat out accuse me of being sexist, but she heavily hinted at it. And it was the same thing with this document. She didn't flat out say, we're not giving it back to you until you give us the money, but she heavily hinted at it, right? Like, she ignored the questions. Have you paid us back the $3,000 and given us our PTO back yet? And then, like I said, she didn't say, if not, we can't give you the paperwork back. She just never mentioned the paperwork, leaving me to fill in the blanks that she's not going to give me the paperwork back until I give them $3,000 and the blower. So I was left with the option of either A, giving them $3,000 for a piece of paper that's invalid next month because that's when my annual inspection comes up, or drive without it for 2 weeks because I have the proof of purchase, and I won't get it if the certificate was invalid. I won't have it, right? Like, or I won't have been able to buy it. So I've got proof of purchase, and you know, I can do it now, but I might as well wait until May. I just go out and pay. Well, I guess it is May now. That I have to the end of May, or I can go out and pay $470 and get a fucking new one, and never give Royal their money. Like, which one am I gonna do? Like, she fucked up, and like, as much as I want to be petty and say, well, I hope that piece of paper was worth $3,000 to you, because you're not getting it now. You know, again, she'll find some way to fucking screw me over legally that way. So I'm like, oh, okay, I'm just never gonna fucking communicate with you again. Keep that piece of paper and fucking have fun with it, I guess. And it sucks that that's how people operate in this industry. I mean, there are plenty of stories of guys getting screwed over by their companies. Right? Trucking is a pretty harsh business to work in. I mean, where I'm at now seems to be really good, right? The owner is very much, he tries to keep his guys working ahead of him. Like, you know, he's had it, like where I'm at, I'm at percentage, right? And it's more of they run things a little bit more like, say, a Landstar. Like, I can not pick or choose what freight I'm on. Like, we've got like these 3 loads. Do you want to go to Texas? Do you want to go to Florida? Do you want to go to Tennessee? So I just pick, okay, well, I want to go to Texas, right? And I get asked, like, when do you want to deliver? So it's up to me to tell them. The steel is not, it's always there, right? It's always got to go somewhere. But nobody desperately needs this shit like tomorrow. So it's not like working at, say, like a produce company or even at, like, I mean, a Royal, where it's like, okay, like, this has to get there by this time, or, you know, they're gonna start wondering what the fuck's going on. It's just, if I can't make the appointment, I gotta call and rearrange the appointment. But they're like, okay, just make an appointment for 2 hours later, then it's no big deal. So, like, she asked, like, do you want to deliver Wednesday or Thursdays? Probably Thursday, because I haven't had a reset for a while. So today's my last day with available hours. I started today with 7 hours left. And the problem that sketches me out is because it's been less than 8 days, I don't get any hours back tonight at midnight. I don't think. My e-log won't tell me until I'm done today, like until I sign and finish my log today. But as of right now, I don't think I get any hours back, because my 8th day would be Sunday, I guess. So I might have to take a reset, which is fine. But I wasn't sure if I was going to run out of hours on the way down. So I had said, okay, make it Thursday, just in case I have to run, like, you know, with shorter days because I'm running on recaps or whatever. She's like, okay, no big deal. So I actually got there Wednesday, like I got down there Wednesday. I could have delivered Wednesday afternoon, but it's like, fucking, it made it so that I don't have to rush. I mean, even today, like, I'm a fair bit early, and she made the pickup appointment for where I'm going. But it's for 9 a.m. Central. It's 7:30 Eastern right now. And I'm probably only, I don't know, 40 minutes away. Like, I gotta check my GPS. I've never been there, but see kind of exactly where I am. But I'm not particularly far away. So what was I gonna say? I'm not in a rush. It's the same thing. The load doesn't deliver till Monday. So if I have to take a reset, I'm only from the load to my delivery, I'm 14 hours. So if I can still manage to drive at least 4 hours today after I load, which will be close, but I think is doable. That puts me at well into the amount of time in a day that I can get home. So, and once I get into Canada, I'm giving 13 hours to drive instead of 11, so I've got more time. So, what that means is that if I have to take a reset for Saturday, if I start my reset tonight, that means that Sunday morning I can drive. So I can truck down the rest of the way and get to my delivery basically Sunday evening, Sunday afternoon, and deliver first thing Monday morning, right? With having 10 hours of sleep and a full day to be able to go reload and go out again. It sucks because I won't, it'll make it 3 weeks since I've been home. And there's most American truckers that they're out here for a month or more on end. Being Canadian, doing what I do, I'm typically home every week. Most Canadians are. At most every other weekend they're home. Because of COVID, work is backhauls are slowing down. Our outbound freight hasn't changed, right? We're dedicated out of basically 2 mills, and because it's construction's still happening, right? They still need steel. So that has not slowed down. It slowed down a bit, but we were given all of the tandem trailer freight. So again, because we're popular, right? I probably shouldn't have said that. That's not a good thing to say. We've got work going, right? We've still got work happening. Outbound is not a problem, but finding stuff to come home is getting trickier, right? I've been doing a fair amount of loads to the Midwest, Iowa, Minnesota, and then there's no backhaul. So I'm basically taking a full reset while we try to find me a backhaul. So I've been leaving Monday, delivering Wednesday, and resetting so that now I leave Friday to go pick up a load and head home over the weekend. So then I deliver Monday again. And it's okay, they got to reload for me if I want to keep going, so I turn around and keep going, because if I were to get home, deliver Monday, and then take Monday and Tuesday off, that means I'm not leaving until Wednesday. And I think a large portion of our freight, our outbound, loads on Monday and Friday. So there's a potential for me to deliver and then reload again on a Friday, but I'm loading in the States on a Friday. Today, this trip is no different, right? I left Monday, or I delivered Monday. I started my week Friday of last week, so a full 7 days ago. So that's what it is. Yeah, it'll be tomorrow night at midnight, and I get hours back, which is whatever. What was I saying here? Fuck, that fucking sun was bright. Sorry, my brain's turning to shit here. The fucking glare is just literally melting my brain and making it smooth. Excuse me. Yeah, so I started Friday, so I delivered Monday, reloaded for Texas, and headed out to Texas. They had a backhaul right away, but it's in Jackson, Tennessee. But it's okay, now because I drove Friday, Saturday, Sunday for full days. So like I said, starting this morning, I only had 7.5 hours left available in the cycle. And we're still, like I said, it's only been 7 days, right? So, and since technically in the US, I think it's 70 and 8. I won't start getting hours back until like tomorrow night at midnight. So, but at that point, I'll be in the middle of a reset anyways, and I'll need a reset because I'm either going to reset this weekend on the road or have to reset during the week at home. And again, as much as I would like to go home, if I'm doing if I'm sitting at home Monday and Tuesday, I'm going to be leaving in the midweek and driving over the weekend again anyways, and B, I'm not gonna I'm gonna miss out on a lot of the better loads. So if I reset on the road, and get back there for like to deliver Monday, I can get an outbound with a fresh clock, more or less, because I'll only have driven Sunday. And that gets me more hours to be able to get out and back if they find backhauls. And like I said, that's been the problem right now. And it's not like it's anybody's fault. It is because COVID is slowing things down. It is because